Dropping the phone already. Good morning, folks. This is number 111. 111. And this is going to Rex again. Rex, I got a proposal. It's going to be hard to swallow. It will unite the country, though. It's just going to piss off one group because it's going to cut into their profits a little bit. But you know that saying, if it saves one life, if it saves the children? Yeah, another saying. So my proposal will unite both gunner, pro-gunner, and anti-gunner. It'll bring the country together to stop the scourge that's going on to a very large extent. Now, I hear what you're saying about wind-up dolls, and I don't even need to be on your other channel to know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, I've been tracking this shit for a while. I'm pissed off about it, and I think we can put a stop to it to a very large extent with the bill that I'm going to propose to you, that you unite the pro-gun 2A community on. And we shove this in the anti-gunners' faces. We shove this in the politicians' faces who want to disarm the American public at large. Poke them right in the eye. Stick that finger in that giant's eye. Seriously. We got a scourge going on. It's called mass shooting. You might have heard of school shootings. Yeah, I think we've all heard of that shit. I've heard you say it even happens up in your neck of the woods these days. Let's put a stop to it. I propose an emergency act to reduce school shooting and SSRI abuse. I'm going to try to cover it all in this one video, but I haven't prepared for this one. I did just write a letter to the new Speaker of the House with this proposal contained therein. It won't go out until tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, actually. The mail gets picked up late here these days. All of these school shooters, all these wind-up dolls that you call them, which I agree with, by the way. I think that's perfect way to describe it. They all seem to have one thing in common. The psych meds, the psych drugs. However, not all psych drugs are psych meds. Just one class. One class has been predominant for decades now. It's the SSRI class of antidepressant medications. The year was 1999, I believe. I don't know. My memory's not so hot. But that year on the listserv for the Center for the International Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology, otherwise known as the Conscience of Psychiatry, founded by Peter Bregan, Dr. Bregan, a psychiatrist, and his wonderful wife, Ginger Bregan, we had a figure going around that year, 554. 554 Prozac-assisted suicides had been completed. And we knew there was a problem. Couldn't get anybody's attention. So go look at Columbine. Can we say that was the first school shooting? Well, maybe we can't, but we can get, it's awfully close to it. What drug were they on? They were on the best medication under the best treatment money can buy, at least in this country. I think the third world countries have it better than we do. At least there, they're not subject to the heavy metal pollution toxicity, and they're not subject to being neglected in their medical care because the doctors will treat them for parasites, worms and bugs and shit, just like the animals get. We don't do it here in the United States of America. What we discovered is that these people that were depressed would turn to mental health help, and invariably the doctors would, rather than send them to talk therapy or any sort of real help, they'd put them on the damn drugs. They put them on a stimulant medication. Prozac, SSRIs are mildly stimulating in certain senses. They're not depressants, they're uppers. If you got uppers and downers, well, you got downers. This is an upper. Gives the people, it was giving clients just enough energy to successfully commit suicide. That's why we were having so many suicides. Now, the old statistic used to be we killed the other son of a bitch at half the rate we killed ourselves. So we killed ourselves at 20,000 a year, and we killed the other son of a bitch at 10,000 homicides a year. It's not holding true much anymore. By the way, the suicide rate was rather constant around the planet until these jackasses decided to pull their shit across the planet. You can bet it's gone up big since then. But for decades, it was pretty constant, just like our murder rate and suicide in the United States were pretty constant because our culture was stable. It was consistent. We didn't have these outsiders brought in among us. We didn't have the extra stresses as our political class disarmed us in every which way possible and made us vulnerable in every which way possible. It takes a special kind of jackass to be a politician. Yeah, I know. Now that I've said that, somebody's going to say, you got to run for office. No. I don't do well with committees. Make me a dictator, I'll probably do a good job, but I don't like working in committees at all. I don't have time for dumbasses. Not at my age, I don't. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just not worth the stress and strain on me. Let's put an end to school shooting and mass shooting. So let's do two things. Let's take the guns out of the hands of the bad guys, and let's put the guns in the hands of the good guys. So let's put the guns in schools. That's right. And let's take the guns out of the hands of people that are on SSRI treatment, SSRI medications. So while under treatment on an SSRI medication, a man shall be prohibited from possession of a firearm. That's it. Once he stops treatment, he can have two people certify he's safe to possess a firearm again. He can have a psychologist, a licensed jackass, like myself, and he needs to have one of those damn shit-ass medical doctors we call psychiatrists. I don't like them much, in case you can't tell. But we don't farm that task out to anybody else. We put two men, women with licenses on the line. We put the responsibility on them. And if they don't agree, then he doesn't get a firearm until they do agree. Or he can take it to court. So what I'm getting at is that if a man is on any one of the SSRI compounds, including the mixed up drugs, not just the ones that are pretty well straight ahead that are all recognized, like Prozac and the others, but some of these modern concoctions. I haven't been practicing for a while, so I don't know what's out there. All I know is they always invent new compounds, and they tell these doctors, you have to prescribe the new drugs because that's the standard of care. And if you're prescribing the old drugs, we're going to take your damn license away because we can't make any money off your ass. Before SSRI medications, the standard of care was a trial period of recommendations. Recommended. The trial period of medication is recommended for not less than 6 months, nor more than 1 year. That was the general standard of care that we gave. We didn't say you were on it for life like these damn big pharma drug pushers say. No, it's not necessary. Yeah, the human condition is pretty constant. We all get bummed out. We all get depressed. I mean, it's just part of life. But you sure as hell don't have to stay in a compound that alters your body chemistry, especially possibly permanently and for life, and may be hard to quit. But what we have found, actually the psychiatrist found this out, the jackasses I don't like much, that people on SSRI antidepressants, yes, they do not get severely depressed, but they don't have the joys and the highs. And much more importantly than that, they can't connect to any other son of a bitch positively, except to predate upon them or to harm them or to hurt them. I'm sorry, they can't love. They have an inability to love. It throws the serotonin off in the gut in particular, results in quite a bit of weight gain and quite often diabetes. Most of the serotonin is in the gut, so it makes it impossible for them to feel satiated when they eat food, and as a result they overeat and they get overweight and they become diabetic. And it toughens up the cell wall membrane too. I forgot about this stuff, but now I'm talking, it comes to my mind. Toughens up the cell wall membrane like a lot of drugs do, making it harder for insulin to penetrate it. And as a result, makes them pre-diabetic, if not diabetic. So Big Pharma's not going to want to give up and do proper practice. Proper practice would be for anybody who's going to be putting another son of a bitch on one of these drugs to tell them you can't possess firearms while under this medication. And when you stop taking this medication, you can possess firearms again. Now, that would be proper practice, but until then, we need the Emergency Act to reduce school shootings and SSRI abuse. It's an emergency act. Why? Because we are violating the Second Amendment with this son of a bitch. One particular class of drug, one little group of people. The common thread is they're on SSRI antidepressant medications for the most part. Most mass shooters are on SSRIs. Almost all school shooters are on SSRIs. It might have something to do with making them into a wind-up doll. Oh, that's your term. That's your term. I'm stealing it, but rather I'm stealing it. It's a good one. Let's put the guns in the schools. We can learn something from the Israelis. Now, I don't think they're great role models in many ways, and I don't want to emulate those people at all over there. I don't want us becoming like that, but we are becoming like that, aren't we? At least over there, they have the wisdom to put the guns in the schools. The guns are everywhere. We probably pay for those guns. But they don't have the stupid-ass puny assault guns, assault rifles. No, they got full battle rifles everywhere. You see, we live in the land of the free, home of the brave, and thou shalt not infringe. Bullshit. We're infringed to the hilt. I'm going to propose we put a particular weapon. I don't like using the term weapon. It's got a legal connotation. It's been used in the commission of a crime, and I know better than to call it a weapon. But I was reared that way. My dad always said, duck hunting, clear your weapon, make it safe, let's put it down over here while you're doing whatever. Unload your weapon before, Anyway, let's put the guns in the schools. Look, this act is going to piss off the anti-gunners. It's going to make us pro-2A guys pretty upset too, because we're going to take the guns out of the hands of the people who have a propensity for going whack-a-mole, going in the schools, going in different places. But we have a deterrent that is very, very effective. It's called a firearm. Let's put them in the schools. Let's put in teams of 2. Some schools might need more. And let's put in rifles. And I propose that we put in FN P90s, not PS 90s, not that bullshit that I'm forced to be satisfied with, but a real P90. Selectable fire. I want a team of 2 shooters. I propose we have 1 male, 1 female. I want a young woman who's been trained in the Marine Corps or the Army, preferably infantry marksman. Why a woman? Face it, man, they're the most dangerous of the species. They really are. And there's nothing that'll defend mama baby bear like mama bear will. She'll fight papa bear tooth and nail. They've got this maternal instinct. Let's use it. And also, I've never met a woman that I didn't take out shooting that didn't outshoot me. They got better hand-eye coordination. They are better natural shooters. They actually see colors better than we do, too. They do a lot of things better than we do. They can bear children. I say we put in a young female who's trained up with an older man. Not that old, not my age. Certainly under the age of 55, which is the required retirement age for most law enforcement. But let's say 35-year-old, 45-year-old, 50-year-old even. But let's just say with an older veteran, somebody who's served at a sergeant's level or higher, somebody who's trained men, who's led men, who's been responsible for other men's lives, somebody with good judgment who's been around for a while. You got a team of 2. I think it'd be excellent. Now, I'm not saying all the teams have to be this way. I'm just trying to be inclusive. Okay? Can't believe I'm using that word. Makes me into a hypocrite, kind of. I think that we use PS90s in the schools because they're a small gun, a short barrel. They cannot be grabbed very easily going around a corner. It's lightweight, fairly lightweight, and can be worn right strapped to the front of the chest the entire day. So if anybody wants to take that gun away from one of these officers, it's going to have to be face to face, right underneath their nose. And we can have them strapped on. They can wear them today. They don't have to sling it around like our M16s or AR-15s. It wouldn't be that bulky or that problematic. It wouldn't be that overpowering as well. Moreover, this is the armament of choice for the Secret Service in defending our presidents. So why not protect our most valuable asset? Why not do what the Israelis do and put the guns in the schools? If we can't mainstream them at large, at least have trained up teams patrolling the halls. That's going to have a real chilling effect on anybody who wants to enter that building and shoot up children. I love the fact you got a 50-round magazine. Should be enough to take on a little group of people if they want to come in. Not only that, magazines are small enough. They weigh a pound fully loaded. So your officer could carry 3 spares. That's a total of 200 rounds. Matter of fact, that's the number of rounds required of our militias in the early days. By law, a man had to supply that much. He had a short sword, his handgun, his pistol, and he had a rifle, and he had a smoothbore musket because he could reload that faster than he could reload his rifle. And 200 rounds of ball, powder, whatever it was, we can look it up, the old 13 states. And also, there's a lot of different ammunition available for 5.7 by 28 millimeter. That's a wonderful cartridge. Nice bottlenose rifle round, louder than snot when it goes off at the other end, makes a distinctive sound. That right there is a deterrent in itself. But I want them selectable fire. Because if my operator, on the spot has got to make a clinical choice, if you will. They have to make a judgment call. Is this target so dangerous that I need to dump a few rounds into him? Is it safe for me to put this on auto and just give it a burst, maybe 4 or 5 rounds at him? Put him out of commission real good? Or is it more applicable to just put it on a single shot and take him out with a single shot? That's up to the operator. The man or woman on the ground, the boots on the ground, the troops in the schools, that's up to the officer. It should be up to the officer. Now, ammunition for the 5.7 is quite a variety. And it's a NATO standard cartridge. And there's frangible rounds that will not overpenetrate. Now, I'm not dictating what rounds are going to be required. There's different settings, different requirements. Of course, they could always have a mag loaded up with whatever, even armor piercing if they had to have that. But what I'm getting at, it's a very accurate little gun and 200-meter range. I don't think we need to go further than that down the hallways. Good Lord. And if you got somebody at a distance shooting from a hill, you want SWAT out there anyway. You want somebody with a bolt-action rifle that's used that thing many, many times. You already know that. Well, who am I telling? I'm sorry. Forget who I'm talking to here. We put the guns in the schools. We take the guns out of the bad guys' hands. I think we will see school shootings stop. If not, well, you will at least save a child's life. I mean, we can agree on that. I think we'll see school shootings just dry up. Mass shootings, it'll take some, there'll still be mass shootings around because we can't have guns everywhere. Or can we? I think we can. And I think we should. The Israelis have them everywhere. I'm not saying I like what's going on in the Middle East at all. I'm just saying they know how to protect their people. We in America refuse to protect our children. All we care about is disarming our population and harming people. We have two forces at work coming together in this society at this particular point in history. You have the World Revolution and the Zionist International. They're two different spearheads of the same instrument that's being used against America. Okay, I'm getting carried away. I think we've got a winning piece of legislation. I think we put this out there. It brings everybody together for a superordinate goal. We cannot stop school shootings and mass shootings unless we pull together. And so both groups are right. Let's put the guns in the schools, and then let's take the guns out of the bad guys' hands, or the guys that are under treatment that lack stability, that are not able to love and attach positively to another human being. Let's see if we can change the standard of care so it's reasonable. You don't have to stay on this ship for the rest of your life at tremendous expense. Big Pharma rules the roost too well. They fund all of the nightly news. Almost every news outlet is funded by Big Pharma and their commercials. This is going to be a fun one. So how do we go toe-to-toe with Goliath, with the big monster, the big bad monster in the room that nobody wants to address? I would say this would be an excellent task for the new Speaker of the House. Rex, it's a compromise. It ain't perfect. You must know some people out there who can craft up this legislation properly and draft it up better, far better than I can. We just need this emergency measure for a couple of years till we can get Big Pharma and the medical profession to change their practices and the standards of care. And if they refuse to be reasonable, we leave it in place, especially once we see it saving children. Once we see it's reducing the number of incidences of mass shootings. It's a superordinate goal. Let's stop the shootings of these children in particular. Let's reduce mass shootings also. We can't do it unless anti-gunner and pro-Second Amendment come together and work together. There's no need to disarm our populace at large. We need to go after the bad guys. We need to take them out. We need to be able to take them out. The anti-gunners won't let us do that. And we toss them a bone with this because they want to take the guns out of our hands. Well, now we're taking guns out of the hands of people with, well, of course, it's not every SSRI user by a long shot, but it's just that people who are using that medicine for some reason become the wind-up dolls. May Yahweh bless. This is number 111. Let's unite on a superordinate goal. Bring the country together. Let's put a stop to school shootings.